So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. I hope this is going to be uplifting. I hope it's going to be cheerful. It's all about reasons to be cheerful. Let me do a quick introduction. So I'm the principal and CEO of Thomas at London Day Schools, as you've just heard. The other thing to say is when I was trying out the headphones, there is a volume button. So if I'm booming inside your head, there is a kind of volume button on the side. So if it's really uncomfortable, feel free to turn me down or off, whichever one is better. In 1971, my mother, who was an actress at the time, started a playgroup to keep me occupied when I was 2 years old. And that playgroup turned into a kindergarten, and the kindergarten then turned into a prep school. My father, who was a soldier, joined my mum, sold the family home, moved us into a 2-bedroom flat, and took a 10-year lease on a building in Cadogan Gardens, and opened up a prep school with 11 children and 2 teachers. That school eventually turned into a group of schools, and now we educate more than 2,000 children aged 4 to 16 in 4 schools, a kindergarten, a primary academy, and a small senior school. And we're in Battersea, Clapham, Fulham, Kensington, and Putney. And next year, with unbounded optimism, we're about to open a new senior school, which is called Thomas's College. It's going to be in Richmond, and it's for boys and girls aged 11 to 18. And it's going to combine traditional excellence with radical innovation. And I'm going to talk a little bit about traditional excellence and radical innovation as well. So I've worked for the schools for the last 30 years, 25 of those as a head. So I suppose that makes me the ultimate Nepo baby. I had to look it up yesterday to find out whether it was Nepo or Nepo, but it's a Nepo baby. So my parents not only started a school to educate me, but they then gave me gainful employment for the rest of my life as well. So I'm enormously grateful to them for that, along with everything else as well. And I've been asked to share some of my reflections on that time. So looking over the last 30 years, looking backwards, but really in order to look forwards and project that, what have I learned onto the education that awaits your children. So I hope that'll be useful. That's far too long an introduction about me. The other thing I've just worked out is if you want to have a swig of water, you're going to have to listen to me swigging. That's going to be really unpleasant. So we'll work out how we manage that as well. This whole thing is completely weird. But anyways, it's a whole new experience. It's fantastic. You're supposed to be outside your comfort zone to learn things. I'm definitely there right now, just to say. Good. Well, that's enough about me. Let me do a quick straw poll, though. Let's find out a bit about you. So I think all good teachers at the start of the lesson need to check for prior knowledge. You need to check your audience, work out who you're talking to. So if you are a parent, I can see that some members of Thomas's staff have snuck in to heckle from the back, so you don't have to answer this question. But if you are a parent and you are here focusing on your child, then think of that child, preferably your child. And it'd be great to know, are they aged 0 to 4, 4 to 11, or 11 to 18? So hands up if they're 0 to 4. Very good, well done. Golden unicorn for being extra prepared. 4 to 11. Okay, and 11 to 18. And the rest are all the home crowd who just come to jeer at me, so that's fantastic. Okay, great, fantastic. And for those of you who are looking at schools, definitely day school, definitely boarding school, or currently undecided. So definitely day school. Definitely boarding school, undecided. Okay, that's why you're here. And definitely independent school, or weighing up independent versus maintained. So definitely independent or undecided. So definitely independent, undecided, home crowd heckling. Right, great. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, well let's get on with the topic. And I've got 3 reasons to be cheerful. I'm sure there are many more reasons than that, but I just wanted to cover 3 in some detail. And the way I thought I'd do this is I think there are 3 sort of main problems I'd like to talk about, and then the question is what are the answers to those problems, and what are the reasons we have to be cheerful in response to those problems. I'm going to tackle them in ways that really underpin the mainstays of what I would summarize as a Thomas's education, the way that I've gone about educating our pupils over the last 30 years. So the first problem is to do with a lack of moral leadership in the world. I'm going to start there. Now, this is tricky territory because schools are obliged by law to be politically impartial. So I'm not going to declare any sort of political opinions at all, but let me just say that you might be able to think of 1 or 2 examples in the world where we have world leaders right now who appear to lack a strong moral compass. Let me just leave it there. And the reason to be cheerful is that so many schools, and independent schools in particular, do a tremendous job of giving young people a strong set of values as they grow up. And I would suggest that it's obviously a shared role between schools and parents. But I would suggest that that is probably most important before children are 11. It's those early years of children's experience of the world, their sense of right and wrong, their sense of what it is to be a good person. And there are many, many schools that do a fantastic job of giving children that strong sense of moral purpose. And I think independent schools are particularly good at this. And my experience has been that young people, when you give them that framework, are extraordinary about going on in return to create a school culture which embraces those values and reflects it back to you, and then creates a community which genuinely lives and breathes those values. They don't just live on the wall, they are lived out every day in... Ooh, I just had a voice in my head saying power off. Was that my mic or was that my headphones? Oh, it's come back on. Did you get that or was that just me? I just think if you're too boring, they just turn you off. They go, no, that's it, he's done. Turn him off. Great, amazing, fantastic. Oh, it's now pairing. Did you get that too? This is great. I'm going to start dancing. They're going to switch to Spotify any minute now. It's going to be great. Good, let's just press on. I'm sure this is great. So we're talking about moral values and having a moral compass. So at Thomas's for the last 20 years, we've held fast to really 10 core values. The most important school rule is simply to be kind. And I think that goes a long way in today's world. It used to be kind and don't run. The very first school was in a tall, thin building, and there was no room to run around. So it was be kind and don't run. We dropped don't run. We kept be kind, and that is still at the heart of a Thomas's education, and I hope at the heart of the pupils who attend our schools. So we talk a lot about kindness and courtesy, about honesty and respect, perseverance and independence, confidence and leadership, and then combining all that with humility and being givers, not takers. We have this very sort of highfalutin language which sets out what I think is our primary aim as educators. And what we say is, above all, we would like our pupils to be givers, not takers, to show generosity of spirit, to use their skills and talents first for the benefit of others. We hope that our students will leave their school with a strong sense of social responsibility, set on a path to become net contributors to society, and to flourish as successful, conscientious, and caring citizens of the world. It's a pretty high ideal. It's a really strong ambition, but I think we can get bogged down very quickly in exam results. And I think it's really important to bring ourselves back to what I regard as the primary purpose of education, which is to send good people out into the world to make it a better place. And the reason to be cheerful is that I see that happening in so many ways, so much of the time with our young people at our schools. And I'll demonstrate what I mean by that in just a minute. But that is certainly the first reason to be cheerful. I think sending good people out into the world is something that most people came into teaching for, and we're seeing that lived out in our pupils. So that's always, for me, the first place to start with our values. Secondly, let's just talk briefly about the curriculum. The problem that I think we're trying to solve is that since the introduction of league tables and PISA rankings, our education system, and particularly our education system in the UK, has encouraged the pursuit of top grades at the expense of what it means to be truly educated. There is such a pressure on young people now to achieve top grades, and we give them this message that if you get the grades, that's the aim of education. And we miss the key point that that is only a part of education, and there is so much more to what it is to be educated. So the reason to be cheerful is that the independent sector has been remarkable in holding fast to a breadth of curriculum which prepares students superbly for the world that they will enter as adults. And there is an extra reason to be cheerful, which is that independent schools are using their freedom to innovate in remarkable ways in order to prepare their students, particularly these students, for the world that's going to await them. So what do I mean by that? Well, as we witness the exponential growth of technology and artificial intelligence, it must be true that the attributes which make us uniquely human will be more important than ever. And that just seems like a terribly ironic thing to do, as I'm standing here looking like a robot talking to you. But I think our human attributes in this world of technology in which our children are going to grow up are going to become more important than ever. So top grades, of course, are important, and we want our pupils to get the best results they possibly can in their exams. But top grades on their own are not enough. They will secure the right interviews, but if we're going to bring it down to employment, to flourish in the world of work that awaits them, our children are going to need a host of skills which are not measured by exam results. Communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking. I'm sure you've heard a lot about these things, and they are alive and well in the independent sector in particular. I talk to a lot of parents who are employers who say, we recruit the best graduates, we go straight to the Oxbridge lists, we have these phenomenal CVs, I bring in graduates who are on paper just absolutely phenomenal, and they make it through the shortlist, we interview them, and in the interview it all falls apart. They can't shake my hand, they won't look me in the eye, they struggle to present their ideas, they don't have the confidence to do what I'm doing now, which is to stand up in a great big tent with a pair of headphones on and present themselves. And these are the skills that are going to make the difference. It's not enough, and I think we need to tell our children this, it's not enough just to get the grades. There is a whole range of what it means to be human, which they are going to need to survive, and particularly this generation are going to need to survive in the world that awaits them, which is going to be filled with technology, which will, in many respects, do things much better than humans can do. And the reason to be cheerful is that I do think that the education that is on offer at these phenomenal independent schools, which are all around you, recognizes this, and these schools give equal weight to the development of character, skills, and self-understanding alongside the acquisition of knowledge. And I think they do this in two ways. They do it through the traditional excellence in the subjects that you'd expect to see at independent schools, and which are still very much at the heart of independent education. And those are art and dance and drama and music and sport. And in fact, the teaching of languages as well, which is really being held very strongly in the independent sector, where we're seeing a decline in the learning of languages in the maintained sector. And we'll come back to those subjects, but in each of those subjects, they are the subjects that teach you those particular skills that we're going to need, these children will need in the real world. If you think of what you learn about being a team player in sports and how much that teaches about collaboration and working with whoever comes through the door, those are the skills that are going to give our children the edge in the workplace that awaits them. So there is that traditional excellence, which has always been a really strong thread through the independent sector. But alongside it is this new movement, which we're seeing in many independent schools, which is one of radical innovation. At Thomas's, I would like to think, do achieve rigorous academic attainment, but we do it through a very strong commitment to inquiry learning. I'm going to even shout out to Camilla Spera at this point, who leads our approach to inquiry learning at Thomas's. It's about the style of teaching and moving on from a style of teaching where the teacher has the answer and the pupil is expected to guess the answer that's in the teacher's head, and moving on from that to developing an environment in the classroom where the children are being encouraged to share their ideas and share each other's perspectives, not just well done for getting the right answer, but what makes you say that? Why does your answer differ from the answer that I've just heard over here? And creating that environment in the classroom where children will understand different perspectives and develop those skills which are going to enable them to respect other people's views and opinions, hold them in balance whilst they have an informed and reasoned debate. And that, again, will become is already a critical factor in today's world. So our approach to pedagogy, and that's coming through innovation, through being prepared to try new ways of teaching and learning. And we're seeing more and more of that, particularly in the independent sector, which has the freedom to try out those new approaches. And we're taking it further at Thomas's College as well. I can't resist giving a plug to Thomas's College in Richmond, which opens in September 25. We're going one step further. We're going to be offering GCSEs and A-levels alongside Thomas's qualifications, which we're calling TQs. These are going to be specific qualifications, which are not exams. They're not examined in traditional ways. They're going to be presented in 4 different ways. Pupils can opt to offer an extended piece of writing, to create an artifact, to prepare an exhibit to explain a complex subject, or to do what I'm doing now, to stand up and give a public presentation, to have that recorded and filmed, to receive feedback on it. So we will have this approach of, yes, the traditional exams, and for those who want to be medics, they're going to need their full set of GCSEs and their full set of A-levels and go on to Imperial. But we will also have a route through for children to develop these skills and these attributes in ways which are really innovative and which will be so relevant to the lives that they're going to live. So through these particular qualifications that we're developing, they will learn how to find things out and share their ideas. They will learn how to make things with purpose that express meaning. They'll learn how to form and communicate deep understanding, how to present themselves and their ideas in the world. And these are the things they're going to be expected to do the minute they leave university and go into the workplace. So at Thomas's College, we will be offering between 2 and 8 GCSEs. You can do 2 GCSEs and 8 Thomas's qualifications, or you can do 8 GCSEs and 2 Thomas's qualifications. It's quite a radical, innovative approach, but we think it's absolutely relevant to the world that these children are going to enter. And then just give you one other example of innovation which is happening with us. We're developing the idea of a year 14 where pupils will be able to return to the school building in the holidays after they've left school to study a range of courses. And during term time, they will take internships in the workplace before they then go on to university. And we're trying to cross that bridge between employment and study and give them a route through which will enable them to go straight into that workplace, really confident. Power's gone off again, too boring, move on. Done that one. Speed up, go on. So let me speed up a little bit and move on to my third and final challenge, which is affordability. I've sketched. Are you all paired? It's all good? Yeah, fantastic. So affordability can't be ignored. I've sketched out this fantastic offering of independent education, this breadth of curriculum, these wonderful values, this tremendous education that awaits, and yet the economics of independent education now mean that an independent education is extraordinarily expensive, and there is no getting around that. And you may be there thinking, well, sounds tremendous, but it is only available to the very highest earners and doesn't apply to me. The reason to be cheerful is that it's written in great big letters behind me. There is a sector-wide commitment to bursaries and to scholarships. We're in the Bursary and Scholarships virtual pavilion, and all independent schools are committed to widening access. We recognise our commitment to achieving a diversity of excellence and to playing a full part in our local and in many ways our national communities. Eton College, I think, is perhaps a leader in this field. They have 101 students who are attending on free places. They also have an enormous commitment to partnerships, including Eton X, which is their free online platform, Holyport College, which is just around the corner here, and the London Academy of Excellence, which have been developed in partnership with Eton and other independent schools. Thomas's College, here it is again, another plug for Thomas's College, is launching with 100 founding scholarships. We're not means testing them, and parents whose children are awarded one of those scholarships who were expecting to pay are going to be invited to contribute those fees to Thomas's Foundation in order to kickstart a culture of philanthropy and to fund the education of a child who would not otherwise be able to attend the school. And this has to be the future for independent schools, to have that mixed economy of those who are able to afford these levels of school fees at the drop of a hat and those who can't afford them at all. It's a huge financial challenge, but it's a challenge which the entire sector is thoroughly engaged in. So one thing I would say, just on a practical note, is that all independent schools are very willing to engage in this discussion. And if this applies to you, then do be bold about asking the question as you go and visit these stands around here. Many, many schools will want to engage in that discussion with you. And in fact, there is a talk on this subject at 5:45 in this tent tomorrow in the speakers program as well. Now, let me get on to by far the most important bit. I've spoken for way too long, which is that there is one reason above all to be cheerful, particularly for somebody who's spent the last 30 years in education. And the biggest reason to be cheerful for anyone involved in education is, of course, our pupils. My main reflection when I look back over the last 30 years is what an incredible privilege it has been to be able to spend time with young people, to witness their imagination, their creativity, their thoughtfulness, their kindness, their sense of humor, and yes, in some cases, their quirks and their idiosyncrasies, but also their unbounded sense of optimism. If you spend time with young people, you cannot help but be optimistic about the future. They are extraordinary, and it has been an enormous privilege to spend the major part of my life in their company. So I thought rather than talking about them, it would be much better to talk to them. And I'm really delighted to have Rufus and Bayang here. I didn't make them sit on the stage for the entire thing because that would have been excruciating, but they're sitting there patiently with their headphones on, and they're going to come up and join me. So can we give them a huge virtual round of applause? Say welcome up to the stage, Rufus and Bayang. Come. Here we go, yeah. So can we kick off by... Bayang, come and stand proudly. No, just right here. That's good. That's good. Don't hide behind Rufus. Fantastic. Brilliant. So we're just going to... This is going to be totally normal. I mean, it's like every day we're standing talking to the headmaster with a pair of blue headphones on in front of a big crowd of people. Can you just introduce yourselves and say what year you're in and which school you go to?
I'm Rufus Redfern and I'm in Year 8. Thomas's Battersea.
I'm Bayang. I'm in Year 9 at Thomas's Putney Vale.
Fantastic. Great. So we're just going to have a sort of really totally natural chat for a few minutes. And I'd love to ask you a few questions. So Rufus, you are, in fact, you're head of school at Thomas's Battersea, and you're coming to the end of your time at prep school. And my question for you is, as you look back on your time at Thomas's Battersea, what will you remember most? So imagine being 55. Can you imagine being 55? Well, imagine when you're old and grey and you're looking back on your time at Battersea. What do you think you'll remember most about your time at Thomas's Battersea?
I think the Daheim trip that we did in Year 6, where we went skiing in Austria, was really, really fun. And I really enjoyed that. And especially you got to meet loads of new people in your year that you probably wouldn't usually meet because you're all in the same sort of ski group as each other and having lunch with it and dinner with each other, breakfast, being in dorms.
Fantastic. Well, what a treat that sounds. Amazing. So Daheim is a place in Austria and we're very lucky to be able to go there. Amazing. I've been talking a lot about values. You've been sitting very patiently listening to me talking about values. The answer to this doesn't have to be yes, but are they actually lived out in school? Can you think of an example about where you come across the values and how they are lived out at school?
They're definitely lived out at school, and they're shown by with our school charities, we often do lots of activities with them, and they come and give us talks, and that's a real example of givers, not takers.
Okay, fantastic. Bang, I'm going to come on to you in a second. No pressure at all. Okay, fantastic. Rufus, can I ask you, what's been the most fun while you've been at Thomas's Battersea? Oh, was that the same answer? Yeah, we've done that one. Okay, that's fine. We didn't answer that one. Has Thomas's equipped you for the next stage of your life? And if so, how? In what ways has Thomas's equipped you for the next stage?
I think it has equipped me for the next stage of my life because it's given me loads of confidence in terms of sort of talking to other people and sort of really trusting myself with trying new things.
Fantastic answer. Thank you very much indeed. What advice would you give to any children who are just starting out at school today, looking back at your great age? Now you're coming to the end of prep school. What advice would you have for someone just starting in reception?
I think just to sort of try and do as much as you can and really sort of throw yourself into the whole experience because it's really amazing the things that you can do. Fantastic.
Thank you very much indeed. I'm going to ask you to swap places with Bayang. Is that all right? Marvellous. Well done. Bayang, can I ask you the same question about values? So I've talked a lot about them. Where have you come across the values? Have you come across the values? And how are they lived out? Do you disagree with what? You're allowed to disagree. But do you agree with what I've said and how have they been lived out?
I definitely think they've been lived out, like also for like small things, like the respect that the teachers give to you and like knowing how you need to give that respect back to them. And like also just like small things like someone holding the door for you. Like it's a thing that teachers talk about very often, but it does make a difference in school life, and like it will help you as you get older to respect the values that you've learned.
Fantastic. Thank you very much indeed. Now, we need to talk about dance, obviously. Somebody's singing. I thought we started the disco. Silent disco started. Let's get going. It's a bang on cue. We're going to start dancing. Is that all right? You dance a lot. In fact, you've missed a dance lesson to be here this evening, so thank you very, very much indeed for coming. My question is, what does dance teach you? What have you learned from dance beyond how to dance?
Well, it teaches you confidence, perseverance, and also building who you are as a person and how to act around other people when doing like all these different things, because sometimes it can be hard to like do things that maybe aren't in your comfort zone, but at the beginning I kind of just thought to myself, like, just give it a go and just try. And now I've been doing it since I was 5 years old, and it's something that, like, I don't know, like, what I would do without it, because it's like such an amazing thing where you can make so many new friends. And like, back to the question.
It was about dance. Oh, I'm being speeded up. Yeah. 5 minutes. Okay, fantastic. So we've got 5 minutes. We're going to speed on. You talked about resilience, and it's taught you resilience. Can you think of it? Is there a specific example when dance has taught you resilience?
Like things like dance moves, or like things where you go into an audition and they show you something that you've never done before, and you have to learn how to take on that move, because the first time you do it definitely won't be the best time, but just to know, here's the starting point, here's the end point, and knowing what the end point would look like.
Fantastic answer. Thank you very much indeed. Now, you've said you were awarded a bursary in year 6, for which congratulations, and you've said it's okay for me to ask you about that. Can you just, so you were at primary school quite close to Thomas at Battersea. Can you just talk to me a little bit about the admissions process? How frightening was that? How scary was it? What do you remember about the admissions process in year 6? You're now in year 9, so it was a little time, a while ago, but what do you remember about it, and was it okay?
I definitely think it was a great process and a great opportunity, and the teachers were definitely really welcoming towards the school, and you didn't feel like scared, and you definitely felt welcomed, and like you could say what you thought. And also, like, there were parts where they would ask you questions about your childhood and like why you want to go to the school and what you think you can take out of the school, and that definitely wasn't hard to answer because of the ways they asked you the questions and how you were able to socialize with people there. It wasn't hard or uncomfortable.
Okay, fantastic. So it was and then what were your first impressions of Thomas's when you joined in year 7?
I definitely loved like meeting the new people, and all the teachers were really, really welcoming. And I think with like all the performing arts that I do, and it was easy for me to make a lot of friendships because I was around people who had the same interests as me. And it was also really nice to have the contrast of people who had been at the school for a long time and newcomers, because you didn't feel like you were the only one. And it was nice because you were able to ask people questions.
Thanks, Brian. And last question, same question to Rufus. What advice would you have for a pupil who's about to start in year 7?
Well, just give it a go and like try, because there are loads of things that you might have never tried before, and it might be something that you end up doing your whole life. And it's just a really fun experience to try different sports and different activities. And it's a good way to practice for when you're older, when you're given a task which maybe you've never done before.
Bye. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. I think we're going to keep you up here a minute. We might be doing some questions. Is that all right? Or...
Yes, no, we'd love to open up questions to the floor if anyone's got any, for Ben or Biang or Rufus. So do raise your hand and someone will be able to come round with a microphone. No one? Surely. Not even the hecklers?
There's no pressure at all. I've got one more very important task to do right at the end, but there we go.
I was about to say, one question I had was just, we've got a big project coming with Jonathan Haidt very soon and on smartphones, and I just wondered, I'm interested to hear all views from the teacher and the pupils about what is your policy on smartphones, and how do you think they are affecting your learning and your life?
Rufus, do you want to explain the policy at Battersea at the moment? Do you know what it is? Okay. We've just brought in a smartphone-free policy at Thomas's Battersea. We're phasing out smartphones. Current year 8, I don't know if you know this. Oh, I remember. No, you've got a... Yes. Why do you not know?
Because I don't have a iPhone, and I never have.
So there is an example of fantastic parenting. Well done to Rufus's parents. Absolutely marvellous. Rufus is the only person in year 8?
Not quite, but pretty much.
Okay, who doesn't have an iPhone. Well done, Rufus's parents. So we are phasing them out at Battersea. I have really strong views on this. Biang, do you have views on smartphones?
Like at school? Well, we're not allowed to use them. We have to keep them in our bags, and if they're seen out, we'll like have consequences. And but we do have school iPads, which is like a lot easier because they do put restrictions on them, and like there are certain things we're not allowed to do. So. Okay.
So my children are in their 20s. I have 2 children at university in the States and one who went to university in Edinburgh. My 26-year-old son has very firm views and believes that no one should have access to unlimited scrolling. Any app that has unlimited scrolling before they are 18, is his view. And I subscribe quite strongly to that as well, the amount of time that is taken up. So I have strong
As an
views.
adult, I think it could keep going.
We have raised the age.
58, yeah, no, exactly. I'll
Let's
get
phase
a
it
lot
out,
more
no
of my life
cigarettes.
back.
There we
Yeah.
go.
Any questions to the audience? You've got one more chance. If not, we might get on with some presentations.
Yeah, fantastic. So we've got one final way to finish. So firstly, can I just say the most enormous thank you to Rufus and to Bayang. It's one thing to talk about confidence and resilience, but it's quite another thing to be standing up on a stage in this enormous tent, wearing a pair of blue headphones, ignoring the voice in your ear that is saying power off, and concentrating on what you're saying. Can we just give an enormous round of applause to both Rufus and Bayang? Well done. But we have one final task because today is in fact the day that Rufus became a teenager. It is his birthday today. This is his 30th birthday. And I'm not going to get this chance to embarrass my head of school ever again. So I haven't got a birthday cake. I've got a very small Gale's chocolate muffin. Rufus, have you got any allergies? Check the ingredients, please. Okay, Bayang. And I've also got one for Bayang as well because she's done so well. So we're going to present Rufus with a chocolate muffin from Gale's whilst singing him happy birthday. So can we all sing a massive happy birthday, Rufus? So 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rufus. Happy birthday to you. Hooray! Thank you all very much for being here. Thank you.